Today I'll be discussing about porphyrias. So porphyrias are diseases which occur because of various enzymatic defects which occur in heme synthesis mechanism. So common doubt common doubt for everyone in remembering heme synthesis is how do I remember the enzymes? For this I will give you an easy tip. So first there will occur synthesis of something. So we'll have the enzyme synthase. Followed by synthase, there will be either uh, uh, removal of hydrogen, that is by a dehydratase enzyme, or decarboxylation, which leads to removal of carboxyl group. So if you remember this tip, you can remember all the enzymes easily. So what are the starting materials for heme synthesis? We have succinylcholine, which is coming from the TCA cycle, and we have glycine, which is an amino acid. So succinylcholine and glycine combines to form delta amino levulinic acid in the presence of, first as I said, synthesis. So here comes the enzyme ALA synthase. Followed by this, delta amino levulinic acid is dehydrogenated by ALA dehydratase to form parfobilinogen. Then there will be two synthesis steps. So parfobilinogen, with the help of the enzyme hydroxymethylbelane synthase, produces hydroxymethylbelane. Then from hydroxymethylbelane, uroporphyrinogen 3 synthase enzyme converts hydroxymethylbelane to uroporphyrinogen 3. On the other hand, from hydroxymethylbelane, uroporphyrinogen 1 is also formed, from which we have uroporphyrin 1. But this is a non-enzymatic reaction. Uroporphyrinogen 3 is converted by uroporphyrinogen decarboxylase to coproporphyrin. Then we have two oxidation steps. Coproporphyrin, with the help of coproporphyrinogen oxidase, is converted to protoporphyrinogen 9. Protoporphyrinogen 9, with the help of the enzyme protoporphyrinogen oxidase, is converted to protoporphyrin 9. And the final step is catalyzed by the enzyme ferrochelatase, which is one of the important enzymes of heme synthesis pathway. And finally, we have heme. In this pathway, we have 8 enzymes, 8 porphyrias, and 9 genes. So here I'd like to mention a few points about ALA synthase enzyme. So ALA synthase enzyme has two isoforms. One is ALA synthase 1 and another enzyme is ALA synthase 2. The enzyme which we use in heme synthesis is ALA synthase 2. So in ALA synthase enzyme, two different mutations can occur. So when there is a gain of function mutation in ALA synthase 2, it leads to X-linked protoporphyria. And when there is a loss of function mutation in ALA synthase 2, it leads to X-linked sideroblastic anemia. So when there is a loss of function in ALA synthase 2, it is going to stop in the first step itself. So no more heme synthesis will occur. Heme synthesis does not occur. So hemoglobin will not be formed. So the patient would ultimately end in sideroblastic anemia. Now we'll see the different type of porphyrias and the enzyme which are deficient in them. So I've arranged the order of porphyrias according to the enzymes which are deficient in them, starting from the first in heme synthesis. So coming from the first, we have X-linked porphyria. In this enzyme, first enzyme, which is ALA synthase, is deficient. Next, autosomal dominant porphyria. In this, the second enzyme, which is ALA dehydratase. So let's keep a mnemonic for this. ADP and ALA dehydratase both have D. Now coming to the next point, which is acute intermittent porphyria, the most commonest type of porphyria. In this, the enzyme deficient is PBG deaminase. It is also called as uroporphyrinogen 1 synthase. Next, congenital erythropoietic porphyria. Here we have uroporphyrinogen 3 synthase deficiency. Next, porphyria cutanea tarda. Here uroporphyrinogen decarboxylase deficiency is present. Next, hereditary coproporphyria, we have copro-oxidase deficiency, coproporphyrinogen oxidase deficiency. Next, we have variegate porphyria. Here the enzyme which is deficient is protoporphyrin oxidase. And last, we have erythropoietic protoporphyria. Here the enzyme which is deficient is ferrochelatase. Next, we'll discuss about the inheritance pattern in these porphyrias. For this, we have to know about one factor, whether these porphyrias are hepatic or erythropoietic porphyrias. If they are erythropoietic porphyrias, then obviously the inheritance pattern of those porphyrias are autosomal recessive. For example, let's take a look. X-linked porphyria, which presents erythropoietic porphyria, but according to the name, it is X-linked inheritance. Then congenital erythropoietic porphyria. We have erythropoietic in the name itself, so it is also erythropoietic pattern. Then erythropoietic protoporphyria. So it is also going to produce erythropoietic porphyria. So for all these erythropoietic porphyrias, the inheritance pattern is going to be autosomal recessive. There we have an exception for this. So autosomal dominant porphyria produces hepatic porphyria, but here the inheritance pattern is going to be autosomal recessive. So everywhere there is going to be an exception. The exception in this porphyria is autosomal dominant porphyria, which has an autosomal recessive inheritance. Next we will see whether these porphyrias are going to affect neurovisceral or cutaneous. These porphyrias are going to produce neurovisceral or cutaneous features. So whenever it is going to be erythropoietic porphyria, it is going to affect skin. So there will be cutaneous features. For example, X-linked porphyria is going to produce erythropoietic porphyria. So it is going to affect skin. Next, congenital erythropoietic porphyria is also erythropoietic. So it is going to be cutaneous. Next, erythropoietic protoporphyria is going to also have to it also has erythropoietic porphyria, so it is going to affect skin, so cutaneous. So all these are ruled out. Now the rest, autosomal dominant and acute intermittent porphyria, both are going to produce hepatic porphyrias, so neurovisceral involvement. Then coming to hereditary coproporphyria and variegate porphyria. So these are going to produce both neurovisceral and cutaneous symptoms. So next we will see what will produce blistering cutaneous disorders and which will not produce blisters. So the first and the last, so X-linked porphyria and erythropoietic protoporphyria, both these are going to produce non-blistering type of porphyria. So next, other all cutaneous porphyrias are going to produce blistering features. Okay. Then one point about porphyria cutanea tara. So this is going to produce sporadic. This is going to occur sporadically in about 80% of patients. So this is going to be the most common type of porphyria, and the inheritance in porphyria cutanea tara is going to be both autosomal and autosomal dominant and autosomal recessive. Now let us discuss a few points on each of the different types of porphyrias. So first we have autosomal dominant porphyria. So we all know this is because of deficiency of the enzyme ALA dehydratase. So main factor which is inhibiting the enzyme ALA dehydratase is lead. So this type of porphyria is also called as plumboporphyria. It is inherited in an autosomal recessive pattern. Lead also inhibits another one of the important enzymes of heme synthesis pathway. This is none other than ferrochelatase enzyme. So in autosomal dominant porphyria, there is going to be accumulation of aminolevulinic acid. So, but there will be no accumulation of porphobilinogen. But in acute intermittent porphyria, there will be accumulation of both aminolevulinic acid and porphobilinogen. Acute intermittent porphyria, this is inherited in an autosomal dominant pattern, and it is because of deficiency of the enzyme uroporphyrinogen 1 synthase. One important question which the examiners have repeatedly asked is whether there will be photosensitivity in case of acute intermittent porphyria, but there is no photosensitivity, and it causes neurovisceral porphyria. So most common symptom in case of acute intermittent porphyria is abdominal pain, and most common sign which the patients of acute intermittent porphyria will present with is tachycardia. Coming to congenital erythropoietic porphyria, so this is also called as Gunther's disease. Remember the last two words ER, so take it for erythropoietic porphyria. Another one of the unique feature in congenital erythropoietic porphyria is there will be deposition of porphyrins in teeth, which produces fluorescence, and this feature in congenital erythropoietic porphyria is called as erythrodontia. Porphyria cutanea tara, so it occurs sporadically, so it is the most common type of porphyria in adults. How to identify a patient with porphyria cutanea tara? So there will be blisters which are present on the dorsum of hand. I have this picture which is coming at the end of the video, and there will be some common associations in patients who have porphyria cutanea tara. These associations include hepatitis C virus, HIV, alcohol, and hemochromatosis. Hereditary coproporphyria, this has both neurovisceral and cutaneous features. Variegate porphyria, one important point is it has a characteristic fluorescence at neutral pH. Erythropoietic protoporphyria, it